Ladies and gentlemen, welcome once again to the dungeon of the Doctor's Doom, where I'm your host, Alex the Shark Sparks. And for the second consecutive week, we've got the entire cast and crew here. It's a miracle, but it's happening. So give it up for Mitch, the Heart Attack Black, and Vinny. I have no other nickname, Santucci. Say hello, gentlemen.
Hello.
What's up, guys? Look, we're on a winning streak. This is
Is
like,
two a streak? Is two a streak?
Alex, I think as Raider fans, we know two is a streak.
Okay,
Two
Two
is a
is
streak.
it's in a row.
we're claiming it. We're claiming it as a streak. All right, boys, welcome. Yeah, we don't really have as much structure to this episode as last time. Last time we went on for quite some time just because we hadn't gone for a while, so we had a lot of things to cover. Less new things to cover, I suppose, this time around. Does anyone have anything that's a hot button issue that on their mind they want to discuss off the jump? If not, I'll go into some things that I've got.
I don't think so.
No, I think like in the sports world, I think that I know. Well, we've had this conversation in my version of the sports world. Scotty Scheffler in golf did win the Open Championship, commonly also known as the British Open, and
Yeah, he's a real American
it,
success story. I mean, this time a year ago, the guy was in prison, and look how much he's turned his life around.
I know. Listen, he was a his wife was single momming it there for 8 hours while he was in prison, and now he's a four-time major champion.
He then took his
So,
trophy to the Happy Gilmore 2 release. So,
oh, did he?
yeah,
I missed that
he
part.
went full shooter, I guess.
I'm excited
Which
for
that
that.
Friday,
Comes out
Friday on
Friday.
Netflix.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's also like weird that it doesn't come out the theaters. It just comes straight to
Well,
Netflix.
Adam
But
Sandler's had a deal with Netflix for the past like 10, 15 years, so.
for sure. But I'm just saying it just still kind of feels weird that Happy Gilmore is not in theaters.
Speaking of, did the John Wick spinoff, not to get too off topic, Ballerina, did that come out in theaters? Because I see it's already on Amazon, like on Prime.
I'm not sure.
I
I'm
don't
not sure
remember that coming
either.
out in theaters, because like that's like the kind of movie that I might have gone to see, right? Because well, I was gonna say I like the John Wick movies. I like most of the John Wick movies.
Most of,
Have you either
I
of
mean,
you
there are
seen?
four of them.
I was thinking about seeing the new Superman movie and the new 4DK. Have you guys seen anything in that? Seen a movie in that stuff or no?
The
I've always
what?
hated
There's like
4K
a
TV, so I can't imagine wanting to watch a movie in 4DK, whatever that means.
It's like 3D but 4D, and apparently your like seat moves and then like air blows on you, and you know what I'm talking about?
Oh,
Really?
it's like
No?
the kind of
Okay.
stuff they've been doing at Disneyland since the 90s.
Yeah, wait,
Yes.
isn't that that's basically the whole purpose of the Mummy ride at Universal Studios?
So basically, none of you have done it. I was wondering if I should do it. Here,
No,
right
I've
here.
never done
Thank you, AI. Let's see here. 40K is a movie theater technology that enhances the cinema experience by adding motion and environmental effects that synchronize with on screen. So it's like if you're gonna go see Superman, I don't want someone sitting there blowing in my face. You know what I mean?
I mean, what if it's not even like 4D? They just like every seat has somebody that just goes down the aisle blowing on your face.
Motion seats that are providing sensations of pitch, roll, and heave. So like I was thinking about it because there's a one out here, like a brand new IMAX theater in San Diego that they built, and it's like 10 minutes north. And I was like, I think I'm gonna go do that, but I didn't know what it was, so I ended up going just to the regular version.
So wait, now you're gonna go back and do 4D?
I might do it for a different movie. I was wondering if you guys had any input on it. I didn't want to do it for the first time without seeing it.
I love that golf is such an exciting topic that it immediately pivoted to 4D movie theaters.
Well, yeah, because
Well,
golf.
yeah, and the thing about him is like he's uh he doesn't really care to be a superstar. He's just gonna win golf and he's gonna keep it boring. So as long as he wants to be boring about winning, then I'm gonna be boring about my analysis about him. It also makes Austin look good. Our year ago conversation, who had the best year between, like the five people, Caitlin Clark, et cetera, et cetera. I think Austin picked Schefter, right?
Oh, I think you're right. I think Chris and I picked Otani, and I think Austin picked Scheffler.
Yeah.
Because the only one with zero votes, I believe, was Simone, right?
Yeah, but I think someone was 0 votes. So Megan
Speak,
Austin looked
well,
good, but at
well
the
here,
same
then
time,
I'll make my argument look good because this is a point I meant to bring up last week and I forgot. You guys all know who Sophie Cunningham is, right? Big star in WNBA. You guys big
Who?
fans? Exactly.
What?
She's been in the
I
WNBA for 7 years, and ain't none of us know who she is until it's been a little over a month now. She got into a fight on the court protecting Caitlin Clark. She immediately added 350,000 Instagram followers, and her jersey sold out. Not because they're fans of her, but because she defended Caitlin Clark. That's how much power and rub she's given. How much Caitlin Clark is giving legitimacy and popularity to the WNBA. This girl simply stands up for her in an on-court scrap that means nothing to anybody. She's been going at it for 7 years in the league, and now all of a sudden she's super popular and her jersey's selling out, all because she backed up Caitlin Clark. That's star power
I
right there.
actually, the funny part is like I was kind of sarcastically saying, no, I don't know who she is, but the only reason I know who she is because of that moment.
Exactly.
So it definitely proved your point.
Exactly. Caitlin
I thought we were
Clark
talking about
is
Brittany Hicks. My bad.
there's a rocket strapped to her ass, and anyone who can get on for the ride is going with her. So I just think that she's taking this thing to the moon. Like even
But
get this. Let me tell you how much she carries not just the conversation for the WNBA, but everything. So right, for those who don't know, and why would you? WNBA is currently in collective bargaining, meaning they're bargaining with the league to get more money. That's difficult to do because the WNBA, for those who don't know, is subsidized by the NBA. It loses money. It lost about $40 million or something last year. They lose money, but the NBA keeps them afloat. All right? Whatever reasons I'm not going to go into, but the NBA keeps them afloat. So they're out here asking for more money, and it's like, it's kind of hard to ask for more money when your league is actively losing money, but they're getting a new TV deal, so that's when they want more money. During the All-Star game, they showed up wearing shirts that said, pay us what you owe us, right? All the girls that made the team, or women, whatever you're going to say, all the women that made the All-Star team were wearing those during warm-ups, including Caitlin Clark. And during a press conference, when people are wearing the shirts, these two girls are up there getting interviewed, and one of them's like, I just want to point out that no one from Team Clark was at the meeting when we discussed these shirts. It's like, what? Why is that even relevant to the conversation? You're out here trying to get paid more money, and you're still taking this opportunity to talk about Clark. Not in a positive light, but it doesn't matter. Like, the fact that, like, she's on the forefront in the mind of everybody, and honestly,
Kelsey Plum.
maybe it's just petty of them to mention it, but also maybe it's smart. Maybe they know, hey, if we mention her, this clip will go viral, whereas if we don't, it won't.
Maybe that I didn't think of that.
By mentioning her, their clip talking about getting paid what they're owed goes viral, whereas if they don't mention Caitlin Clark, I never see that clip. SportsCenter doesn't air it. But because they mention Clark, it's aired on SportsCenter, it's aired on Fox News. I know because Mom watches it all the time. Like, it's on all these other networks because Caitlin Clark was mentioned.
Do you think they're all like the whole league is smart enough to pick up on that?
The whole league, no, but these two people who were clearly chosen to be like the representatives for the movement who were at this interview, they might have been. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I just wonder because I know that didn't she finish like don't quote me on the number, but I know like somewhere like sixth or seventh best like guard in the league or something like that. And everybody was like, the media had her at number two, and the league just like shot her votes down for the player vote. And everybody's just like, at what point in time? To me, it's my argument has always been, how much longer are they just going to continue to bash the only person who's bringing them fans and money? But now on that front, I'm like, maybe this is all a ploy to get it talked about even more because you can't just talk about Caitlin Clark being good all the time. Like there needs to be an enemy.
Controversy drives ratings for sure.
If comics didn't have enemies, the comics would suck. If it was just Superman flying around all the time, like you know what I mean?
Like saving
what are you gonna
squirrels?
write about? Right. Exactly.
Anyway, no, but to your point, Vinny, yes and no. The average player, I don't think so. I don't think the average player is intelligent enough to know that. And this isn't a shot on WNBA players and just humans in general, like people in general on average. Like think about someone who is of average of intelligence, and remember that half the people are dumber than that person, right? So generally speaking, no, I don't think the players know that. I think it has to do with jealousy and things of that nature. Hey, I work just as hard. Why is she getting all the rub? they only like her because she's white, blah blah blah. Whatever the reasons be, I'm not trying to make this race thing. Like, whatever the reasons be, I think the players have different views on it than other people, but the owners, you can guarantee the owners love this. The owners love that this is happening.
That's what I'm wondering at this point. Do you think it was like, you think this is an initiative and they're like, they pulled Caitlyn aside like, hey, so what's going to be like, we're sorry. But like the league just is like, hey, we need to bash Caitlyn Clark as much as possible because doing that keeps us in the news.
No, because
I'm wondering if like a memo went out.
The league itself isn't the one bashing Clark, right? It's the other players, it's her competitors. And it's not her teammates either, by the way. It's her competition, right? So it's, they hate us because they ain't us type situation, but it works out. I just think I think it's working in their favor. I mean, the fact that we're now more than a full year removed from when she was in college, breaking all those records, and we're still talking about the WNBA, that's wild, man. That's wild. If you had told me 5 years ago that WNBA would have survived a single news cycle, much less a year's worth of news cycles, I'd say you were tripping. I'd say there had to be like some massive betting scandal or something for it to be in the news. But no, there's just regular run-of-the-mill stuff WNBA is now talked about. And I think that's wild that it's just a testament of how big of a year she had. The fact that she single-handedly has made an entire league, an entire sport relevant. We're 10 minutes into this episode of the podcast. And after 30 seconds of golf, we've now spent 9.5 minutes talking about the WNBA, and it's because of Caitlyn Clark.
That's a win. That's a win.
For sure. The who orchestrates them wearing all those shirts? Is it the head of the Players Association, or how does that work?
So according to that interview, the players themselves had a meeting before the All-Star game and decided to do it. So I imagine it was
that Caitlyn Clark wasn't part of
it. They specifically said that no one from Team Clark was a part of. I don't know if that means people on her team or people in her camp or people from the Indiana Fever or what have you. But to answer your question, Mitch, I think it was most likely players and potentially, player reps from the Players Association would be my guess.
Yeah, because on the flip side with the NFL, when they have the problems, they usually go to the Players Association, and the NFL has a very, very strong Players Association that has massive sway, and you can tell every time the CBA comes up. But I don't understand how the WNBA Players Association has any sway. I understand the difference between revenue and profit and all that, and I get that as soon as they start turning a revenue, they definitely should ask for a larger share because they only get 9% of the revenue. But there's no profit right now, so you can't ask for more money of what's not there. I just don't understand. That's why I'm wondering how this happens, is because the CBA and the NFL, that Players Association, is backed by so many law firms and head people that have crazy degrees. They just interviewed the guy on. I was just hearing a podcast about it. The guy just retired at the head of the NFL Players Association, just retired this week because there was some discrepancy between the collusion of NFL owners. So apparently Kyler Murray, the owner of the Cardinals, and then the Spanos, owner of the Chargers, colluded when they were re-signing Murray and Herbert's contract together to not give them guaranteed money. So there's and that whole thing is surrounded with crazy amount of lawyers, law firms, people who have a crazy amount of education are telling the Players Association to do this because the owners are colluding against you. So I want to know what surrounding people are telling the players to ask for more money right now, or is this literally just the players being I don't mean to be mean or anything, but the players who actually play aren't necessarily the most of education and that background, and you know what I mean? So it's they're just deciding it, or has someone told them? Because when you follow it in the NFL, it's very linear and logical, and you can see it play out with a lot of these, legal issues and all these standings, whatever the word is. But
I mean, it's collective bargaining, right? So they do have a players union. So I'm sure they have reps and whatever who represent them. And I just think it has to do with recognition, and it could be some players that made this recognition, or the union reps or the lawyers or whoever. They recognize that this is probably the best bargaining power they're ever going to have. It's not just bargaining power based on like the product and the money it brings in, but it's also the media attention that you're driving to the sport. And right now with Caitlin Clark in what is potentially her prime, like sure her prime may be in a few years from now because she's still young, but also she may fall off a cliff. You don't know. Unlike with men, if women, you know, decide they want to have a family, they have to take time off to have a kid, right? It's not like a guy where they keep playing through it. There's plenty of stories where players showed up and played the day their kid was born, right? And that's up to them whether or not they want to miss their child's birth, whatever. But like, women don't have that option, right? If a woman wants, and I mean, other like adoption's obviously an option. But like, if they want to have like a normal nuclear family, they got to get preggers, which means they're going to be missing some time, which takes them out of the sport. Then there's a lot of rehab time to get back into the sport. Then some people don't come back, you know. So like that, there's a lot more to it. You don't know how long you're going to have what's happening right now, which is the most popular that their sport has ever been. That happens to coincide with collective bargaining agreement. This is their best opportunity to get their point out there and get their names out there and get out there in the media, because it's not just the bargaining power you have, but it's the media pressure that you can generate. And the NFLPA has no trouble generating that media pressure, whereas WNBA probably does, but now they have that opportunity and they're taking it. So whether it was calculated to go viral by mentioning her in that interview or someone just being a petty bitch, I don't know. But either way, I think it worked out for him. I mean, we'll see when the final numbers come out.
So basically, someone told some of these players that this is your best opportunity right now to get the most out of it because of the attention, as opposed to when you're actually operating at a profit.
I mean, I think the players would have tried to get more money regardless, right? Like, you're a fool if you don't, right? Like, my annual review was a couple of weeks ago, and I tried to get more money, and I did. Like, you know, like, it would have been nice if I got more, but like, there's no reason. The worst thing to say is no, right? Like, you got to ask for it, you got to bargain, you know. So like, you try to get more money any opportunity you can. So I think they would have done that anyway. I'm just saying, I think they recognize now is the best chance to do that. So they're going to try to take advantage of it as much as they can.
Gotcha.
But anyway, we can move on from that. I just thought that was interesting that, you know, because the reason it reminded me about the whole Sophie story with the girl adding the followers and selling out her jersey is we talked about another recent thing in sports news, the ESPYs, and Shane Gillis doing, you know, his stand-up bits at the ESPYs, and one of the things he did was he pointed out a WNBA player in the crowd to get everyone to clap, and then after they clapped, he said, "This is actually my friend's wife. She's not in the WNBA. I knew you guys didn't know the players," which is, you know, pretty accurate, right? Outside of Caitlin Clark, can't really name a lot of WNBA players, and I certainly wouldn't recognize them on the street. Whereas Clark, she's in commercials, she's in her face everywhere. If she walked in the room right now, I'd know it was her. Whereas if someone else walked in the room, I would have no idea.
Yeah. Well, kind of on that merge of topics, am I the only one that thought like nominating the New York Liberty for best team is just like a pity award? Like, let's be real. There is no a WNBA team might be able to go undefeated and still would not win that award. Like, what does it take for the WNBA champion to be nominated and win best team?
I think a best team award is just like, I don't understand the point of a best team award. You determine the best team by having a champion. So like, what's the point of having a best team award?
Who votes on this stuff too? Who votes on the ESPYs?
I completely agree. I mean, like UConn basketball was nominated. It was like best college basketball team. You're like, what?
Oh, okay. So you meant best team like from any sport. I thought you meant like
no,
in the WNBA. I was like, what kind of weird voting is this?
No, the ESPYs have best team, and so it was like the Eagles, who else? The Oklahoma City Thunder, New York Liberty, Florida Panthers, Ohio State football. So it was that kind of team based at thing.
So an ESPN nomination committee selects the finalists, then the fans vote on the winner for the ESPYs. So I'm sure they're just, you know, if you and I were on that ESPN nomination committee, we're probably just like, you know, we gotta cover all fans out there because this is a fan experience voting. So I'm sure there's gonna be usually like a UConn's women's team is probably up there, but yeah.
Well, I mean, I think an argument you can make is like, you know, back in the day when the Colts won the Super Bowl, like were they the best team, or did they just have Peyton Manning, right? So with the New York Liberty, like maybe that's not a team of stars. Maybe it's just a team of, not average Joes, obviously, because they're the champions. But like maybe that's just a legitimate team that's 6, 7, 8 deep, all equally skilled. Kind of like the Pacers. Like the Pacers, for example, in the NBA, they were a team. They didn't really have a star. Like Tyrese Halliburton was billed as the star, but like he's not compared to other superstars on other teams. He was not a star, right? So I think maybe from that standpoint, that's what they were going for. It's like, hey, there's no like major star power here because they're all good, and that's what makes them like a team as opposed to a star with not a star with scrubs. But you get what I'm saying, right? Like there have been plenty of teams that win a championship that's like, carried by a couple of top end guys, and then the bottom guys just kind of filler.
When they settle this in court, is it admissible evidence for the defense or for the prosecution to be like, according to Shane Gillis's joke, no one really knows who you are? Are they allowed to use that when the WNBA Players Association is fighting for a larger percent? Correct. Just so we can conclude this here, but just so I can, maybe I'm not understanding it, but it's just like they have an extremely low percentage of what the company pays out for them, 9%, right? So that is really low. You look at a lot of the companies, from what I've read, that's extremely low to what they pay their employees. But like, I think the reasoning for that is because it's at a negative profit, right? So they're just not paying them that much because there's no profit. But eventually, once there is a turning of a profit, they only lost $40 million last year. I know people are like, wow, that's all. It's really not that much for how big the organization is. And when I read the articles, it compares it to like other companies at this time, like 20 years in, and all that blah, blah. And it's really not that big of a deal. So like once they start turning a profit with this new TV deal, then I completely agree that they should get paid more than 9% of the revenue or whatever. It's just, right now, that revenue is so low because is that what's really going on right now? They're just fighting for a higher percentage of the revenue, correct?
I mean, I don't know specifically like what the bargaining points are that they're arguing over. I put it on my screen. Oh, I'm not sharing my screen with you guys. My bad. Let me.
You're not.
Share a screen here.
But I can only imagine and being in court and then being like, in a collective bargaining agreement being argued, and they'd be like, Exhibit DA over here. Shane Gillis on the ESPYs said Brittany Hicks was, and everyone clapped. And this the WNBA players be like, oh my gosh.
So these are the shirts they wore at the All-Star game. Pay us what you owe.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, so it's like, that's what I'm saying. It's like what you owe us. It's like the only thing that they would be owed is a larger percent of the revenue.
Well, and also, I mean, worth noting, even though the WNBA is technically losing money on paper, and again, you can fudge numbers and statistics to make sure you look like you're losing money. I mean, there's plenty of corporations that don't pay taxes because, oh no, we didn't make any money this year, and we all know that's not true. But they're also expanding, right? They're adding 2 new expansion teams. Like,
and then
you're getting a new TV deal. You're more popular than ever been. You're adding 2 new expansion teams. You've got the most popular player of all time, who's absolutely driving numbers. Like, if there was ever a time to beat that drum to say you deserve more money, now's the time. So I'm generally always on the side of the player when it comes to that, just because like F corporations. But in this case, I definitely totally understand where the players are coming from, even though it is funny to say, hey, we're losing money, pay us more, because that doesn't make a lot of sense in a vacuum. But hey, I mean, I get it. I'd do it too.
I mean, as an argument against this collective bargaining agreement, scroll down. I did not even know until this exact moment that the Valkyrie was even an expansion team.
Well, that's because they don't exist yet, right? Do they? I guess they do exist. I guess they do exist.
Neither did you. Yeah. Neither did you. It literally said, how have they handled how have they surpassed expectations? Like, what's the standings? Let's go to the standings. Like, I'm curious as to like how many of these teams I actually know at this point. Golden State. I'm in California. I had no clue they were even. I couldn't have told you. Golden State Valkyrie.
So here's my next question: who's the other expansion team?
The Dallas Wings. It's got to be, right?
Dallas. I didn't even know the Dallas Wings were a team.
I don't think so, right? Because the Wings are the ones that drafted that girl, like they got the #1 pick out of college. Right?
Oh yeah, yeah, that's right. Ionescu or whatever, Sabrina Ionescu.
Yeah.
Is it the Washington Mystics? I don't know.
No, I've heard that name before. Let's go. I've heard Lynx, Liberty,
Vegas Aces
Mercury,
sounds a little sus.
Storm,
Dream, Aces,
Dream, Aces,
Fever. Yeah,
Fever.
could it be the Aces? I mean, Vegas. Is it the Connecticut Sun?
No,
That's
Aces.
a weird.
Aces have been around for a while.
Connecticut is a weird place to put a team. Let's find out.
I don't think they have them listed. I think we're getting debated right now, Alex. They don't have a Philadelphia team listed. We got debated.
Golden State,
Cleveland, Detroit,
Toronto.
and Philly are the teams that are
But
expanding
that's
to
my
next.
That's 2028
and Toronto.
Yeah,
and
And
29.
Toronto.
yeah, yeah. The Valkyries. Okay, Valkyries in 2025, and then Toronto and Portland are 2026. Yeah, so they don't exist yet. So we're
They don't
guessing the
exist.
teams.
We're just guessing teams at all time.
The Valkyries are the only
No.
one. The Valkyries are brand new this
Oh,
year,
man.
and then we were trying to guess which one of the teams that have been in for the last 20 years are not
Yo,
real.
Las Vegas Aces sounds like I just wrote that in today.
No, but I felt like I'd heard that name before.
The sad part is, I think they were back-to-back champs like 2 or 3 years ago.
Oh, that would be bad for me.
I think so.
All right, boys.
Let's look it up. Let's look at the
Hold
Vegas
on,
Aces.
I think we spent enough time on the episode talking about the WNBA. Does anyone have any non-WNBA topics they want to talk about?
Yeah. I have a non-WA. So like the NBA when they had Magic and Bird, right?
Hmm.
Sailed the maybe started the NBA is what we know today. Well, they had to have someone come along after, which was the heir apparent to keep the league alive. After Caitlin Clark, are we going to get forced an heir apparent? Just kidding. I didn't even want to. He said no more at WNBA, so I just went with WNBA.
So you don't actually have a topic to talk about.
No. I really
Welcome to the
don't.
official WNBA podcast that we're doing this week, guys.
I was just trying to have fun.
Vinny, do you have anything besides WNBA?
I do not.
Well,
I do
then
not.
let's check
have
out
any.
Caitlin Clark's new shoes. He's surprised I want
No way.
You should just be a WNBA.
I want to point out. So this is a top headline on ESPN. For those who don't know, Clark is out injured and not playing right now. So even though she's out injured and not playing, a top headline is still about Caitlin Clark on ESPN's website.
Her shoes are $200. Dang.
I mean, they're Kobe 5 Pro shoes, bro.
The Bruce Lee Kobe's. That's all right. I didn't know she had a shoe.
All right, well, all right then. Since you guys don't have anything else to talk about,
So
I'll go
I did.
ahead.
I did want to add from 2019 to 2024, the Las Vegas Aces played in at least the conference finals. They lost in the semis, lost in the finals, lost in the semis, won the finals, lost in the semis. That's their last 6 years. And Mitch thought they were an expansion team.
Are you sure they weren't like the Las Vegas Jacks at that time?
They've been a top 4 team for 6 straight seasons with 2 championships back to back, and Mitch is like, nah, that's for sure fake.
That's for sure fake, for sure. I mean, who watches conference finals? That's boring.
Yeah. It's honestly like it's kind of like the MLS finals. All of a sudden you're like, oh, you see it on the ESPN ticker, and you're like, oh, that was tonight. That's how I feel about the WNBA finals.
All right, moving on.
It's such an exciting product. It's the best out of 5 series. I just want to throw that out there.
It's like
Best of
that
5.
joke in Family Guy where they're like, the fan is here.
Yay!
It was actually a fantasy football punishment probably 4 or 5 years ago in one of my leagues that somebody had to buy their local WNBA team's fan gear, make a sign, and go to the game. So I mean, I guess that shows that's how much, like, if you were in Indiana right now, you'd be like, yeah, gladly, that'd be sick. But 5 years ago, that was just like not a thing.
All right, so
I'm beginning. Yeah.
all right, I'm going to transition this for real here, but not in the way you guys think. So for those who listen the full 2 hours last week, it was a week of hot takes. I'm about to drop another hot take on you guys. Are you ready for this one? We're going to move away from the WNBA, but stay with women's sports.
Oh, no.
Oh, God.
I will go out on a limb and say women's soccer just as entertaining as men's soccer.
No shot.
For those who don't know, I spent the last week in the hospital. When you're in the hospital, you get to watch TV a lot because, what else are you going to do? Lots of cool things on. There were Harry Potter marathons. The same marathon was on back-to-back days. Pirates of the Caribbean marathons. Law and Order marathons, things of that nature. But you know what else was on? The Women's Euro Cup. And the game between the Germany-France Women's Euro, well, it would have been quarterfinal, maybe one of the best soccer matches I've ever seen. So let me set the stage for you. 11 minutes in, a German girl gets a red card for pulling a girl's hair, and she does it in the box, so there's a PK as well. So Germany, down a goal, down a man, 11 minutes in, all because someone was so petty they pulled hair. All right? From that point on, the game was an absolute banger. Germany ends up tying the game, then ends up getting their own PK that gets saved. They end up going to a shootout. During the shootout, the German keeper makes multiple saves and makes a shot during the shootout in order for Germany to win the game. First time ever that a team has come back from down a goal and down a person in the Euros to win, men's or women's. Just absolutely wild. And the whole time it was super entertaining. And the reason it was super entertaining is I think the quality of play across sports between men and women is vastly different in most sports. For example, in the NBA, men can do things the women can't do. Dunks, for example. There's a lot less dunks in the WNBA versus men's. That's what people always joke that women's all about fundamentals, and that's not as entertaining to watch because the men simply are more athletic, right? In baseball, women don't play baseball. They play softball. It's not even the same sport. The walls are closer in. The balls are different sizes. Nothing wrong with that. I'm not knocking it. Softball can be very entertaining to watch too. I'm just saying, they don't play the same sport because men and women, their bodies are different, right? Where in soccer, they can pretty much do all the same things. Sure, men are still more athletic, but the base mechanics of the game, they can do all those things. Women can make all those same moves, those same dribbles, those same dekes. Maybe they're slightly slower, but in a game like soccer where you're zoomed out, and you have that top-down view. Hold on, I'm ranting here, bro. You have that top-down view. It's all relative. Speed is relative, right? So their speed versus the other players on the pitch is the same relative speed as men versus men. So it's just as entertaining. It is very entertaining to watch. Unlike the WNBA, which you could not pay me to watch, I would absolutely go to a women's soccer match and enjoy myself.
Okay, I will start by saying women's soccer is very entertaining to watch, but comparing it is a completely different game than the men's. I agree with you what you're saying, that the women's basketball is a little bit more because that game is based off athleticism, whereas soccer is not so athletically dependent. I will give you that. But in the last World Cup, I don't think I saw any one-on-one takes. So the ability to juke and deke is not even existent. It's not even there are 14. You can go watch the U15 boys. I'm not kidding around. I do.
I tend to not watch little boys. That's more of a you thing.
Okay, watch the U16s, U17s, U18s. You don't even have to watch the U14s or 13s. It goes all the way down to U12, by the way. That's when they start. You watch those World Cups. Those guys I'm gonna be really polite here, and don't get me wrong, women's soccer is very entertaining to watch. I love watching it, but there's not even a driven ball. Every single cross in the center is lifted in the air and falls down. It's not even joke. That's not even high school soccer in America. Second of all, the ability to take someone on one-on-one, not existent. And the last part that's a huge discrepancy is if you ever watch, the camera does a very good job of disguising it in women's soccer. If you ever notice in women's soccer, they zoom in a lot closer than men's soccer. If they ever zoomed out, it would be so embarrassing because they're not even managing a quarter of the field. Watch the women's soccer games that you play next time. There won't even be a left. So the ball's on the right side. Let's just say right side midfield. There won't even be a left winger on the left side. You're literally called a left winger and you'll be within 15 yards of the ball. They play no joke, less than high school soccer where you stay within 10 yards the whole, you don't space the field.
I just want to clarify, Mitch. I wasn't saying that the women were as good as the men. I was saying they were entertaining as the men. For me personally,
So it's entertaining
I find
in a
them
different
entertaining.
way, not the same.
I just
Yeah.
think because I don't like we've joked a lot about the WNBA, but like I don't want people to think that we're bashing women's sports. At least,
No.
well, we're not. At least I'm not. Like I genuinely enjoy watching women's soccer, and I think it is
I do
very
too.
entertaining. Like yes, if you
Right.
put maybe not the men's. If you put the U.S. men's national team versus the U.S. women's national team, the women might win. Most countries, you put the men versus the men would win the game. I get that, but I'm just the point that I was making was I think it's very entertaining, and I think the gap in entertainment value and play in major sports between men and women, I think is smallest in soccer. Let me put it that way.
I honestly am gonna politely disagree, and I think it's actually like the
Tennis.
most. I was gonna say I think besides maybe like football, if there was a women's league, I don't know that lingerie league is kind of intense, but I think soccer has the biggest discrepancy between the two products. Is women's
No, he's
soccer
just speaking from purely from an entertainment standpoint. Maybe not like
um
a
like difference
right
between the sports
Yeah, I'm talking about
or
the entertainment standpoint.
watchability.
Watchability,
oh yeah, for
well,
sure. Women's soccer,
and like
yeah, okay.
the I guess the physical ability that players can have, right? Like there's stuff that men can do that women can't, and vice versa. But like there's stuff that men can do that women can't, and like I said, women can do gymnastic stuff that we can't do, right? So like there's stuff that people can do that women can. I think in soccer that gap is smaller than in a sport like say basketball. And as you mentioned, there is no women's football other than the lingerie league, which
So I think women can shoot the ball. This is a very interesting debate, and I just want to preface by saying I was a women's soccer fan before, Megan Rapinoe, Alex Morgan, any of them even existed. You're not existed, obviously, because they were kids at the time, the same age as me. But like I've liked women's soccer since I've genuinely, and until like the whole USA bashing and all that kind of stuff. I actually really I know some women's soccer players. You would not pull a Brittany Hicks joke with me at the ESPYs with women's soccer. I promise you. So I do enjoy it. I'm just saying when comparative to the products, like the World Cup ago, I watched almost every game, not just U.S. women's soccer, but not just the USA women's team, but like all the games. Like there is very rarely a one-on-one, and there's very rarely a driven cross. All those crosses are not hit with pace. I think there's a massive, massive gap. Whereas opposed to like Caitlin Clark can shoot better than a lot of NBA men. I don't think there's any woman in women's soccer that's even faster, can dribble better, shoot better. There's not one aspect of the game that I think they could even come close. And I'm trying to be nice here. Whereas Caitlin Clark could outshoot 90% of the men. So I'm going to politely disagree that I get that basketball is so much dependent on athleticism, but I think women's soccer very much more entertaining than women's basketball for sure, but it's so much wider gap to the men's side.
But I think
Yeah.
the difference is like you're talking about just shooting, right? Like that, like they're not playing horse out there. There's defense, right? So put a defender on Caitlin Clark, and I think that absolutely changes the game
Sure, but
because
there's
of how
going to be
much
like
more
if you put-
athletic,
right,
how
but
much more
let's
athletic they are.
Put
just
Bruce
just for
Bowen,
saying
just Bruce Bowen on.
don't put the best defender ever.
Yeah, okay, I wasn't gonna
Okay,
go
look,
that far, but
okay, Alex, let's
Gary
not worry about the
Payton.
defensive. Let's not worry about the defensive side of the ball right now. But if you put who's the team that plays like one and plays inside out? All right, let's say you put them on the Warriors, right? And you just put her in the corner. Like they're gonna guard Steph or put them on a team with Durant or something like that. The Rockets, they're gonna have to guard some of these guys doubles to when the ball gets swung around. A lot of these NBA players get wide open threes because the defensive scheme, the switches on the pick and roll, how to go
but
into
that's
the block.
because they're
She's gonna
scheming
be
for the
able to
best
hit
player.
open
If you're playing
shots.
against
Yeah.
Caitlin Clark, you're scheming against Caitlin Clark, so she doesn't get those open.
But
That's
they
what I'm
leave
saying.
three-point
Like,
shooters
sure,
open
yes,
all the
if she's on the
time.
same team as Steph Curry, she'll get some open looks. But like
That's what I'm saying. She could play in a men's game. I'm not saying she could play
that's like
defense.
saying if
It's
I
like
put
in
Mbappe out there with the French girls, the other French girl will get open in the box more. Like, come on, man.
You should, but that same is once that French girl gets open, she's not gonna be able to do anything with the ball at the men's side. She's not gonna be able to play the ball at the pace with them that are men running at. She's gonna have to play short passes, and there's no way in hell she's gonna ever dribble
Again, I
against
did
one of
say
the
that
men.
the speed is relative. Like they're not running against other men; they're running against other women. So the speed is
Right.
relative.
But what I'm trying to say right now is if there's some men who went up and played defense against Caitlin Clark, they're not stealing the ball from her. Her handles are amazing. And she'll be able to hit open shots. Okay, now defensively, she's going to be a massive problem. I get that. So let's forget that part. But like, yeah, okay, let's not get into that part of the argument, Vinny. But I'm just saying, like, you can't just walk up and steal the ball from her.
Okay,
As soon as that
you're
girl takes
talking
more than
about
three touches,
arguably the best women's basketball player ever, right?
yeah, you could take the best
I'm
women's soccer
talking
player
about
ever, and
on
she's not dribble
average.
three
I'm talking about
touches.
on average, like in general.
Okay, yeah, no, you're right. You're right. But okay, yeah, I guess more. Shaquille is such an anomaly. You're right. I shouldn't be using her. That's fair. But
I
let's
just
preface this
I just
again. I
want to
don't
point out that
want yeah.
this has been the most entertaining debate that I've probably ever heard the two of you argue. Is which one of these sports is closest to the men's sport?
Hey,
I know, and we're
hey,
gonna get canceled because of it too.
Vinny, it's a
So,
podcast. I want to be entertaining, all right? And also,
There's so many holes.
you told
There's so many holes in both
the
arguments.
second
oh,
the
it's
second you
crazy
told
bad
me
You
holes.
guys-
the second you texted me and said,
so
"Hey,
many-
come up with a rant," I was like, "Oh, I got one. I got one locked and loaded."
I just want
I
to go
got
back
10
to I want to go back to Alex setting the scene in the hospital. Homeboy must have been on some heavy ketamine IV drips if he woke up and was like, "This is the best sporting event I've ever
This is-
witnessed."
No, did
Women's soccer's so
no,
good.
I was only on antibiotics. I wasn't on any kind of painkiller, unfortunately. Man, that game was popping. Today I watched the Germany-Spain semifinal. Not that game now admittedly wasn't as good because it didn't have as much epicness going on, but it's still a good game. Ended 1-0 in extra time. The game yesterday was epic. England's down 1-0 to Italy. They score 6 minutes into the 96th minute. They score right, sent it extra time, and then win it in extra time. So like that was wild.
Boo, boo.
Yeah, so Italy's out, England's in, so now we got England versus Spain. Spain looking to, fully control Europe on the men's and women's side.
Yeah. I just want to preface before we get canceled that I seek out watching
Well,
women's soccer.
I'm not getting canceled. I'm pro women's sports over here. I don't know what you guys.
I would also like to point out on that note that Mitch is the person that highlighted the Megan Rapinoe joke at the ESPY. So while he says that,
What was the Megan Rapinoe joke, Benny?
Megan Rapinoe's not here tonight. Nice.
nice. No, we're just gonna pretend she's a good time.
We're,
All
we're,
right.
we're still pretending she's a good time. I don't dislike. And let's go back. I hate Megan Rapinoe, sure, but I hate her because of she took away from what should be women's soccer instead of, and I think she made it a lot about herself. But I don't disagree with some of the stuff the women's team was asking for. But at the same time, it's tough. Who knows? I don't know. The I've always liked, especially like growing up watching it, it's always been fascinating. I told you guys on this podcast that the women's tennis is more fun to watch in person than the men's tennis. And like the women's soccer is a little bit more pure. You don't have one person who can just take over or use unfundamental ways to use like Di Maria. You don't ever want to practice. You don't ever want to teach anyone how he kicks the ball to anyone. It's so unfundamental, but he's one of the best players in the world. So it's like you don't really have that player in women's soccer. So everything is back to its basic roots and pure and enjoyable. So like I will say that I'm just, I get. Well, let's put it this way: as the kids say it, I got 10 out of 10 rage baited by Alex. I'll just leave it at that.
I was trying to find highlights for this stupid review video down here.
Alex,
That was
Alex
not a
just
one.
Alex
That was
just
an
watched that
elbows and
entire 30-second ad
I know.
just for there not to show a single highlight.
Well, they made it seem like it was gonna be highlights. I was like,
Yeah.
And
it's just gonna be talking heads again.
I'm not kidding around when Alyssa Nair blocked that PK and her teammates ran to her to congratulate her and she literally was like, "Get off me, go up down the field, stop celebrating." I'm not gonna lie, I had a tear run down my eye. That's stuff like that doesn't happen in men's soccer nearly as often. It seems to be in the Women's World Cup because it's so pure that those moments tend to happen more often. So I mean, that Alyssa Nair save and her, them running and hugging her and she's like pushing them off, like get down the field. That'll live in my memory for my whole life. So definitely a big women's soccer fan.
All right, Vinny, what's
Yeah,
your take?
I would agree with Alex. I would agree with Alex though that I do think aside from women's tennis, women's soccer is the most watchable sport on a comparison level to the men's product. Now, I don't think the game is similar as Mitch was saying, but I do think watchability, and I mean it's obvious, especially in the United States. Like the reason that women's soccer even has the platform in the United States is because they do put out a better product than our men's team has habitually in the World Cup, in the Olympics. Like the U.S. women's soccer has been what we watch here in the United States because we can't watch the men because it's hard to do.
Well, they don't make it out of the
talked
group
about that
stage,
a
so it's
little bit
hard to
last.
watch them when they don't make it out of the group stage.
Yeah, exactly. And so that's even how these whole platforms get started. But similarly, yeah, I think they wanted like higher revenue shares again, and unfortunately, like the men's World Cup worldwide just has so much views that it's tough to kind of talk
Also,
about
it's
how the whole thing started. But
yeah, the WNBA doesn't have like a World Cup WNBA too. I think we might like our women's a little bit more if they put on a USA jersey and went out there. There's a World Cup thing, I think, but it's not the same as winning an Olympic gold or or a World Cup. So it's like I don't know if like
I think
it's
women's basketball would somehow mess that up. I'm just going to throw this out there. I think they would somehow mess up putting on the United States jersey.
I mean, you
Think
guys know that the women do play in the Olympics, right?
yeah, they did and they crushed. It was not even
Like,
close. But I'm saying
what are
like
you guys on about here? Okay,
no,
that
I'm
was it
saying
was like
like
a big story that they left Caitlin Clark off the roster, which was just such rage bait. Like she was literally still in college at the time. She didn't
okay,
practice with the team. How could she have made the roster? Like people need to
let me
chill
rephrase. The
out.
rest of the world doesn't care about women's basketball as much as they care about soccer and women's soccer. Like as much as like the matters, like it's still we still will tune in and be like, what is the Portugal women's team? You know, how do they play and stuff like that. It's still at least once every 4 years fun for me to do. Whereas it's like I'm not like, oh, how are the Portugal women's basketball team going to show up this time around? What kind of formation? Like what kind of tactics? Do they have a new young stud? Like it doesn't work in the same sense, I guess. And maybe that's because the American women are so much better than the rest of the world. It's just not. Whereas in the last 8 years, 12 years, the women's side has been catching up and it's more even. So it's like, yeah, let's go, our women, because whereas it's like, oh, if our women's basketball team doesn't win, it's kind of like a disappointment. So maybe you're right. Maybe there is some truth to uh, us not really realizing because they did have the Olympics. I know what you're saying, but it doesn't have the same feel. I don't know how to describe it.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. We are 52 minutes into the podcast, and women's sports has dominated this podcast. So
You guys
obviously,
want,
there is product worth talking about.
do you guys want to start the podcast over right now? You guys want to actually start it now?
So when you guys go to cancel us, I
Hey,
just want to
April
point out
Fools!
that
April Fools!
that's Mitchell Black who's the one making all the anti-women comments, whereas Alex Sparks, big pro-woman guy over here, and Vinny's just kind of in the background.
Yeah, yeah.
I feel
Alex
like I
left
got
off the fact that he is still in the hospital on ketamine. Um,
I'm on Keflex. It's an antibiotic. I'm not in the hospital. Also, I also want to point out I've driven all the conversations. You guys have brought zero topics to the table. So the fact that we talked about women's sports for 50 minutes, you're welcome. If not, we would have had nothing to talk about for 50 minutes.
no, I've got a topic. I just wanted to make sure that everybody else got their pre-planned ones out.
I want to conclude on this. I want to ask how many of you have actually been to a women's soccer match in the last year or two? I have
Uh,
been to a
a
couple.
women's
Thank you
soccer
very
match?
much. Yeah.
Depends. Does my nieces count?
No. I'm just I
Wait,
live.
who's got which
Yeah.
niece?
Wait, time out. I just realized. Yeah, which niece?
I mean, I guess she's not Morgan's kid, so like cousin's
Trotters?
kid.
Oh,
Yeah.
Morgan's kids.
Uh,
Yeah.
well, I live like 7 minutes away from the home of the FC Wave, so I have seen a couple of Alex Morgan's games last week. So, as far as women in soccer here, I'm the actual one who spent money to go see him.
I'm now having the realization after that question that I'm not sure if I've ever paid money to attend a women's sporting event in general.
Vinny, if it wasn't like 7 minutes walking, I don't think I would have gone either.
I
So
know, I'm just thinking like
I'm
I
making a
don't even
joke.
think I went to Auburn softball games, basketball games. I don't think I've ever attended a competitive women's sporting event.
Even in high school?
No, high school was different.
Yeah.
I'd go to like the women's
Okay, we
basketball
don't
and
have to
like
go into
girls
that. All right.
basketball. Yeah, I'm
All right.
talking like
Last
college
10
plus.
years.
I don't think I've ever last no like last 20. Um, I'm thinking very hard, and it's I don't think I have. That's
I'm
shame
telling you right
on
now,
shame
UCSB
on women's sports.
UCSB women's volleyball was a big pull. There was a lot of fans there. We went
Oh, dude,
to
yeah, yeah. When I was in high school, that was a big attendance booster for the student body.
we are not helping our case right now. Sports.
I almost said big fan of women's of high school volleyball, and I was like, no, I've not done that since high school. I just want to make that clear. That was a big attendance get in high school, not
If we
after you leave the high school.
if we ever get a contract with some kind of streaming platform like, Spotify, Apple, whatever, just pretend one day this is definitely the podcast that the people go back in our history and get us canceled for 100%.
Again, not all of us. Some of us are totally fine. Um, hey, so Mitch, I have a question as our
Yeah.
soccer expert. So here's an article on ESPN. This is the U.S. men's national team's to-do list before the World Cup, ranked by urgency. So I want you to tell me what you feel about this list. So number
Oh,
one,
I haven't seen this yet, so
get
this is gonna be
everyone on
interesting.
good terms. Is that a priority for us to get everyone on good terms? I've already talked about how I don't like that we're not actually playing as a team. So do you think we need to get people on good terms? Is that a problem?
No, I think we're already on good terms, and I think this just comes down to like three players and their relationship with Ponachinko. And Ponachinko already has a relationship with the most important player on our team, which is Pulisic. As long as a couple of those guys fall in line, I mean, a couple of those guys, it's like Zidane doesn't have to win over all of the Real Madrid players. He just has to win over Ronaldo and Toni Kroos. Like you win those guys over and Modric, you win those three over, the rest of the team will follow those players. So as long as Ponachinko and Pulisic and a couple of our top, Adams and my Texas boy that I love so much, Kenny. As long as a couple of those players are on, then we're good. I
All
think
right.
this is just writing. That was just,
I mean,
a
number two is
journalist.
obvious. Stay healthy.
Yes, that might be the most important for us because we are thin.
I love how
We
this
do
starts
not
with the
have replacement
so-called
players.
golden generation of American soccer hasn't worked out as expected. Man, if this is our golden generation, this is more like Wood League than Gold League, but all right.
No,
Uh,
this is like the 70s before Magic and Bird. We're going through like, the 70s era with those players. It's not the golden era. But this is
I don't
correct.
know. I think it's pretty close to a golden era though, because like you have Pulisic, AC Milan. Like this is probably the most
The
starting
most
caliber players we've had in
true, but
European
that's
leagues
not
of all time.
golden. That's not a golden era, though, in my opinion. Yes, we have the most talent we've had in a while, but in comparison, talent rises a lot of these. So it's like in comparison, like Croatia had a golden era. Like that's, in my opinion, a golden era. Those guys, that Croatia's probably not going to be good again, and they went to like a World Cup finals and a World Cup semifinals in a row, and they probably won't be good for a long time. USA is definitely getting better, but I would not call it a golden era. And yes, we do need to stay healthy. This is 100% right. This is probably number one. We
all right.
we do not have replacement players that can play at the World Cup level.
Moving
Otherwise,
on.
it's going to be these MLS defenders coming in and giving us PKs against Gareth Bale and Wales, and we're going to tie 1-1, even though we have 70% possession and they had two shots on goal. All right, go
Dude,
on.
Walter Zimmerman's still like our captain. Like, oh man. Anyway,
Yeah.
create pace and space in the attacking third.
So this is what I talked
I-
about.
I mean, this is going to
Yeah,
require
this
us to have the ball in the attacking third, which I don't see happening based on past experience.
This is exactly what I talked about a couple weeks ago on our podcast when I said the attacking third, creating space. We have now switched into a 4-5-1 defensively. Our 4 years ago, the reason why everything was predicated on attack, a reverse attacking soccer. There's a great quote that just came out by Zidane and Pep Guardiola about the state of soccer, and both of them, without knowing each other, said when you play counter-attacking soccer, you expose yourself too much to chance. And that's exactly what we did is we played counter-attacking soccer, which will give us some chances against the higher level teams, but we're never going to win those games. So yes, what we need right now is a central midfielder in our formation that can hold the ball for 3 seconds. I've said this for 4 years right now. If you just gave us Gavi from Spain, we'd have a chance to win a World Cup. We don't have these central midfielders to play that formation. So, mark my words, this is a problem right now. But as a lot of great coaches do, they will play a different formation about 3 months coming up to the World Cup. If we are truly playing a 4-3-3, then this will be a problem. But if we're not playing the traditional 4-3-3 and he actually changes it, like France did to win a World Cup or almost win 2 World Cups, they changed to the 4-5-1. And that's exactly what Ponochenko's installing defensively right now. We're just in a transitional period. So this one is correct, yes and no. It's just more of we need to have a couple of our better players in the midfield for this to work out.
All right, moving on. I think this is the one that made me chuckle. Get Matt Turner on the field.
Oh my God! Whoever says needs to get fired.
So for those who don't know, Matt Turner was our goalie for a while.
Joke.
He's super medium, so medium in fact that he lost his starting job on his club team.
He's not even medium.
And he got benched in the Gold Cup for a different goalkeeper, which, we didn't win the Gold Cup, so I don't know that was super useful. But it's ironic that, he was, unlike all our other players who just didn't go, he went. He was there. We just didn't play him. And now one of our things is get him on the field.
I have no words. This is the epitome of why American soccer is bad. Anyone who thinks we need to get Matt Turner back on the field does not know soccer. The way soccer's so if I told you right now how has football changed, NFL changed in the last 4 years, I'm sure one of you would be like, it's more of a passing league. There's no defensive rules anymore. They're all for the offensive rules. Those are all great answers. Well, now apply that to soccer. How has soccer changed in the last 4 years? You have to play out of the back. But when we grew up in soccer, your goalie should never touch the ball.
That's right.
Passing the ball,
you never pass it backwards back in the day.
You never pass it backwards.
No,
and now you have to control the ball out of the back. Your goalkeeper must be able to play without his feet. Matt Turner, I'm not kidding around, Alex. I am not even joking. My older brother has more skill with his feet than Matt Turner. Matt Black has more skill than Matt Turner with the ball. Matt Turner's a 10 times better goalie than Matt Black for sure, but because of the athleticism, that's not what I'm saying. But once you drop the ball and put it at the feet, I'm not even joking around. Matt Black is better. High school kids are better with their feet. I'm not even exaggerating. Oh, this is Mitch just, going off on one of his things, No, this is a Kirk Cousins and Darnold take where I'm not BSing here. You have to be able to play at your feet. I'm not joking around. Matt Turner will lose us a World Cup. The goalkeeper has to be able to touch the ball 10 to 14 times. Every single goal kick, the goalkeeper is so instrumental in being able to play out of the back. They changed the rules in the last couple of years to where you used to have to be outside your own goalie's box. The defenders couldn't touch the ball before the ball rolled outside the goalie's box. That rule's changed too. You'll literally stack 3 guys right on the goalkeeper and you'll play possession to make the forwards come at you. We cannot play soccer in today's current times without a goalkeeper who could play at his feet. Matt Turner is the last, he's one of the biggest holes that we have to get rid of in order to be a competitive soccer team. So seeing this get Matt Turner back on the field, I honestly, I got goosebumps. I feel like this is a 10 out of 10 rage bait again. This is
straight up. Full disclosure, I scrolled through this article before I decided to bring it up. When I saw number 4, I was like, oh, we're absolutely doing this.
Oh no, this hurts my heart to read this. We have a 19-year-old kid, Slovenia, who is literally on the Real Madrid A team. He doesn't play that much because it's fucking Real Madrid. Sorry, excuse my language. It's Real Madrid. But we have a guy who's literally made the roster as goalie. He's 18, 19 years old right now. That guy is going to be 10 times better than Matt Turner is right now. It's not even debatable. So I have no idea why this person even wrote this article. He must not know anything about the upcoming youth of some of our players. It's just crazy to me. Who wrote this article? I really want to know. Scroll up.
I will, but let's get through any more.
Person.
Figure out the midfield.
There's
We've already
more?
touched on that. So props to Mitch. Mitch has already addressed
That's
figure
what
out the midfield.
Yeah.
Oh, that was the last one. Sorry. This article is written by
Figure out the midfield and the transition is basically the same thing. And
Ryan
that'll all be
O'Hanlon.
solved by formation. Okay. Ryan O'Hanlon. If you guys hear anything from him in the future, 10 out of 10 rage bait. El Bozo.
El Bozo.
Oh man.
What's funny is the entire time that you were talking about Matt Turner, I couldn't help but think he's just the Brent Branson equivalent.
The weak link
almost
on the
impossible to
team.
get. But no,
You
like
know,
almost impossible to get anything behind him in goal. But if you asked him to do anything with his feet, you'd be like, "Oh my goodness, what is about
When
to
you're
happen?"
9 feet tall,
that's
I mean, in
not a
his
terrible
defense, when you're nine
example.
feet tall and wear size 37 shoes, you're gonna stumble.
That's actually not a
Yeah.
terrible example, Vinny. I like that. And also, I just want to say for the podcast, I've seen at the same stadium I saw Alex Morgan in the women's team. I saw meaningless friendlies against Guatemala, Costa Rica, and Mexico. And Matt Freeze played in those games. And I was literally videoing and sending it to my brother. It's so apparent. Like, I forget like how much you can actually see. Like, versus NFL might be different because the bird's eye view is kind of different than on the sideline. But at these soccer games, the ticket prices are so cheap. We were like row four. So we're like right there on the sideline. You can see Matt Turner's literally like struggling to take an outside left touch. And I'm like, I have it on video and I'm saying to the man, I'm like, this is our national team goalkeeper. And it'd be like, yeah, we have no chance with him in goal. So just that is crazy. Ryan O'Hanlon is on the same ketamine Alex was. This is on.
Alex has somehow found topics to rage bait Mitch on like 3 times today
Yeah,
already.
we get
You
text
act like that's
before
a
the
high
show.
bar, man. Like, come on now.
All we had to do is talk about women's sports and the
You
USMNT.
literally picked the two things that get me like and the questions in the text before was prep for offenses and fantasy football that are going to be shocking to you. And I got 10 out of 10 rage baited on women's sports and women's soccer.
Well, we could pivot. We could end on a high note.
I feel like transitioning to the Jaguars offense being a surprise this year is not going to be the same as how worked up I am about Brian O'Hanlon's comment about needing Matt Freeze back in the goal. Like that's going to bother me the rest of the day. Like actually, people in
Sorry that
America
as the host of the show, I had to generate over an hour's worth of podcast content because you guys aren't coming with any topics to talk about. I feel like I did a pretty good
We
job.
did. We did. I just thought like, hey, I didn't want to take the storm, but I thought we had some backup stuff lined up for you.
this guy
Uh,
didn't hasn't watched soccer in 5 years, 4 years. If he thinks Matt Freeze is important,
Well, Matt Freeze.
I mean, sorry, Matt Turner. Freeze isn't
Matt
bad.
Freeze is
Sorry.
totally different sport, different job.
I was gonna say I was thinking in my head like Freeze isn't bad. He's not terrible. He's a step up. So it's like Freeze is like serviceable right now. Let's just Matt Turner needs to go away. We're fine. Okay, I'm gonna take a couple deep breaths.
All right.
do we want to segue the deep breaths into fantasy football?
Yeah, go for it, Vin. Your segue. You're up.
All right, so I thought kind of following on the flavors of last week, where we identified players, I think sometimes when you can't identify a player or you're kind of, I think like Mitch set it up, for example, last week, and I don't want to ruin the fun, but who would be 3 separate topics, and we'll dive into each one separately, but a offense in which you are targeting. So, it's let's think of the 2000s Broncos with Peyton Manning, where you're like, I'll take any of their players, or the Colts back in the day with Peyton, or Tom Brady wide receivers in the mid 2000s or tight ends. So, offenses that you're targeting, as well as offenses you're avoiding. Cough, cough, 0-16, Cleveland Browns, for example, and a surprise offense in which you wouldn't mind tapping into some of their potential. So let's start with offenses that we will be targeting. So offenses where you just kind of say, hey, I kind of am happy ending up with any of 4 or 5 different players on this team.
Wow, that's tough. Including like quarterback and running back together. Yeah, it's tough. And also
So
like women's.
you don't necessarily need to stack, but you're happy. You're like, hey, you know what? I think this is an offense that's going to be super successful. I'm happy with potentially their quarterback, either their wide receivers, maybe their running back. So just an offense that you're like, I want a piece of that offense.
Um, yeah, I think I think the obvious one is like I want a piece of the Eagles offense. It's not hard to say. Um,
Yeah, no, I
Like the
agree.
tight
Like
end. You want the
you
Eagles
would
tight
kind of
end? That's who you're targeting?
I'm suspecting I kind of want a part of the Colts offense. That's the what'd you say? How'd you describe that? What'd you say?
A shocker.
Shocker, whatever you said. Yeah,
the Colts would be your shocker.
I think I
Please
want a
do
part.
tell.
I mean. as a lot of my breakout stuff is generally dependent on because like dependent on the offensive line, I guess. And the Colts, in my opinion, probably have easily one of the top three offensive lines, including maybe two of the top offensive linemen in the NFL. They have two of the top five, I think. And so I don't know. It's just it's like if you told me right now Barkley wasn't running the ball for the Eagles line, but player X is, I'm sure that player would be pretty highly ranked in fantasy football, right? Like you'd probably like if even if it's just like throw out some random, give me a name here, like Kenneth Gainwell is the starting running back. I know he's not on the team anymore. They got rid of him, so it's a terrible example.
But he was
But
still good. If they gave him the rock, he would be solid.
yeah, and why it's because of that offense. So a shocker one is if the Colts can actually play a little offense with Daniel Jones or maybe an improved. I know the bar is real low for this one, but Anthony Richardson can only go up. So I mean, look at like I couldn't imagine Jonathan Taylor's getting stacked eight in the box so much. Like most of these defenses in the NFL play those two high safeties to keep everything in front of you. I couldn't imagine going up against the Colts, anyone playing like two high safeties. Like even if the defenses just kind of start to fear a little bit the passing game of the Colts, there should be fantasy value there with that offensive line. And then the one team I want no part of, yikes. Man, it's probably the Browns or like,
Yeah,
and the Giants
yeah.
just
I think the
the
Browns are
Giants,
the low
yeah.
hanging fruit there.
But to be honest with you, I might rather have the Browns with offensive players with Flacco. But the problem is they're not going to like even if Flacco does well, it's like Dalton last year, right? That spot's reserved for someone not named Flacco or Dalton. So even if Dalton or Flacco plays well, they're still going to get benched. And I'm trying to give the example of last year with Young and Dalton. Dalton played pretty well, and it was still like, hey, you have to go back to the bench. So it's like I have no faith in Flacco. I would have more faith in the Browns if I knew he was there the whole time. So like maybe the Giants I might have the least amount of faith in because they announced Russ as the starter. And I mean, you could even go back to 2008 Russ, and it's like, I mean, Tyler Lockett was serviceable, but they don't really have a studly offense. Like Russ has never put up like, crazy numbers. Like Baker put up crazy numbers last year. Russ never even sniffed those type of numbers. So I don't know. It's between for me right now. It's the Giants or the Browns.
All right, so I'm
Yeah,
given the one that I obviously want people from, the one that I am surprisingly wanting people from, and the one that I don't want people from. Correct?
Yeah,
correct. I actually thought that Mitch was going to say the Bears because he's been talking about how he wants a piece of the Bears offense this entire time.
I'm being
So
honest. I'm not to cut you off, Alex. Sorry, but I'm being dead honest with you in the podcast. Like, I think I'm avoiding them altogether. Unless something changes in the next month, I am going to avoid them altogether.
Fair enough. All right. So the backfield, or not the backfield, but the offense that I obviously want, piece of, got to the Bungles. I mean, wide receiver, you have two guys that could be wide receiver ones. Quarterback, you've got a QB one, and running back with Chase Brown. While I don't think he is as talented as other running backs because of how powerful the offense and how bad the defense is, they're always going to be out there. So there's value there as well. So I think as far as like wanting a piece of the offense, give me a piece of the Bungles offense. As far as the team that might be a little bit surprising that I want part of their offense, that one's a little tougher. Like I'm tempted to pick the Raiders, but I'm not going to.
Oh
Um,
no,
so I'm gonna take the Rams. I still think that
that's a good answer.
Stafford still got it. I talked about this last year. He plays well when it matters. Stafford, so like he's not a guy I'm gonna want to be starting every week, but like you get down to the fantasy playoffs, I'm totally happy starting him at Stafford because the Rams are most likely going to be trying to make the playoffs or get a playoff seeding at that point in time, and so he'll be balling out at that point in time. He's got Puka and he's healthy now. another year under his belt. He's got Devontae Adams, which is an upgrade over Cooper Kupp. At least based on how he's been the last couple of years with injuries. So you have a legitimate number 2 wide receiver. I mean, your number 2 wide receiver is a guy who, for most of his career, was number 1. Even going into, up until last year, I think it's the first time he was a number 2, right? So, like, this is a guy who is 1B worthy, and he's as your number 2 wide receiver. And then the running back played great last year, Kyron Williams, and they added a running back in the offseason as well. Meaning, if Williams goes down, I think there's a clear-cut guy to be number 2. And if you remember the time that Kyron Williams went down a couple years ago, Ronnie Rivers was a legit number 2 during his absence. So I think the Rams' backfield is going to be surprising. The one I want no part of, easy, New Orleans Saints. I want nothing to do with the New Orleans Saints offense. I can't name a skill player on that team that I'd be happy to have on my roster. So,
yeah, I think those are good picks, Alex. You actually stole quite a few of mine, but I think I definitely agree with you on the Bengals. I just don't know how you look at that team and what they could possibly do offensively and think, oh, I don't want any part of that offense. Burrow, Higgins, Chase Brown. Like, Chase Brown was only a question mark because we were like, surely the Bengals have to bring somebody else in, right? And they didn't. They didn't bring anybody in. So, yeah, I think that's a great pick. And I was surprised that you chose the Saints because they do still have some studs in Kamara and Olave. But, yeah, I'm with you. I don't want to touch anybody in that system or on that team.
I mean,
I think that they are going to be abysmal.
Olave on the roster in either of the last 2 years, how can you go into this season thinking, oh, I'll be happy with that guy on my team? Right? Like, sure, I get what you're saying. Like, there's absolutely a world where Olave is a 1,400-yard 8 TD guy. I agree. But, like, based on the last 2 seasons, are you excited if you're drafting Olave?
No. Exactly.
No. I could have given a more controversial pick for my dud backfield or for my dud team, but, like, I don't know, man. The Saints and Panthers both would have been easy pickings for me. So, but I'll give a more controversial one after Vinny picks this. So, Vinny, what are your 3?
Okay, golly, the piece of the offense that is kind of hard. Like, I know there's some good offenses. Like, do I want to do the Lions? But the Lions kind of scare me a little bit with the new offensive coordinator coming in. So I'm going to say a surprising one, and it's going to be a surprising one. Not that Bills. Because I don't want. No. It's not my surprising pick. It's what I genuinely want a piece of the pie of because I think they're going to be a top 8 offense, and I think that we're going to miss out. I don't want to be the person that misses out on touching some of these people. The Jacksonville Jaguars. I think that with Liam Cohen coming over, I think that they're going to be like a new age Bucks mixed with kind of the outbreaking talent level of the Lions. Like, if you wanted the Lions like before they broke out and Gibbs and Montgomery and Amon-Ra were all of a sudden worth so much, I think that's Jacksonville this year. Truly do. I think Travis Hunter is very skilled. I think he's one of the best rookie wide receiver prospects if they use him well. You've got Brian Thomas. You've got a pretty solid backfield. If you can just hit on who that is going to be the primary runner there, mixed with Trevor Lawrence. I don't know if I'm going to live and die by Trevor Lawrence in fantasy again, but I need some of that offense. That's all I need somebody in that offense this year because I just don't want to be the person that's left behind.
Well, you're not going to live or die by Trevor Lawrence because you'll just die by him if you have him on your team. But yeah, go ahead.
I thought the Colts were a really good surprise offense of like who's somebody that I want a piece of the pie on. I'm going to throw out the Arizona Cardinals this year as like somebody that I need a little taste. That's my surprise offense. Like, is it going to be Kyler? Is it going to be Marvin Harrison? McBride's obviously really good.
The best offensive player they have, James Conner.
I think that they are going to be a surprisingly talented offense, having a couple years in the system. Kyler being, a full year removed from his injury. I know he came back and had a little bit of that offseason like the year before, but I think that they're kind of like in a little bit of a make or break situation. On the same kind of flip side of that, I almost, Alex, just to kind of like not to intentionally rage bait you, Miami is like my other. I kind of want somebody from that team. I think we are all sleeping on the Dolphins again this year. I fought with them between Jacksonville, but I was like, you know what? Let me go.
You know how many trades I had to turn down? Like, I got so many trades offering me Tyreek Hill over the past 3 weeks that I've had to turn down, and
You know
finally
how
Tom
often-
traded him, so I don't have to deal with those anymore.
Yeah, and often I've tried to bring up the fantasy value of Tyreek Hill and the Dolphins offense on this podcast. I'm not saying they're terrible.
I would love a piece of the Dolphins too. And the offense that I'm avoiding, I agreed with both of you. My top two picks are the Cleveland Browns and the New Orleans Saints. But just to throw another team in there that I am avoiding this year, it's going to be kind of. I'm going to, you know what, screw it. I'll be the controversial person today. I've already got the Jaguars in there. I've already got the Cardinals.
Yeah, 'cause
I
I haven't
don't
said
want
anything
to touch.
controversial yet, so good thing you'll be the controversial
I
person.
I don't want to touch the Seattle Seahawks. I don't love Darnold. I think their offensive line is still garbage. I think Kenneth Walker is their best player, and I'm not necessarily sure that he's going to stay healthy. And then I don't know if JSN is good enough to be an alpha when you don't have like a DK on the other side taking some targets away. I think JSN might kind of fall back into the Smith-Schuster like as the one. I think Seattle is very much so going to mimic those Pittsburgh Steelers offenses of the past. They're just not. I can't see a pathway forward for them being good this year. I just don't want to. I don't want to guess. You live and die in fantasy. I don't want to have to guess on any of the Seattle Seahawks players.
Okay, I have a couple follow-up questions. One, where would you put the Jets as closer to a piece of the pie that you want or a piece of the pie you don't want?
Hmm.
The New York
Interesting.
Football
I
Jets?
think I would put them closer to a piece of the pie that I do want. I
Interesting.
think there's going to be fantasy talent there versus like Garrett Wilson is going to do exactly what he did. If you draft him at his 3-year averages, you're going to be happy. You just don't draft him in the second round. I think you're going to get some production out of Breece Hall and out of Justin Fields. I really do. I mean, they're limited to those three players. I don't think they have value beyond that, but they're not going to be a good football team. But even Justin Fields won a Super Bowl in our dynasty league like 2 years ago, and DJ Moore, because all they did was throw to each other, and they'd randomly have like six, or throw to DJ, and he'd have like 60-point games. So
Would you rather?
there's
Okay,
fantasy value there.
would you rather have? Okay, so all right, let me do a second
I'm curious,
question.
Alex, what do you
Yeah, yeah.
think
Sorry,
on the
Alex.
Jets?
I there are parts of the Jets I'd be interested in, but not all of them. So I mean, I guess closer to wanting than not wanting, but it's 50-50.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's a tough one for me too. I will just yield to not knowing either because it's tough. Fields didn't really make anyone fantasy relevant on the Steelers last year, and then Russ didn't really help out as well. So my question is now, is the Steelers, same question, is that a pie that you think you want more of now or less of?
So that was
They're
going
in
to be
my bust category.
my next
They're
backfield that I want no part of was the Steelers.
Yeah, they're on my team that I kind of want no part of. I
So
don't
my
I don't
question
want
is,
to
do you
touch a
think
single Steeler.
do you think Rodgers is better than Fields and Russ?
No.
No.
No,
You
I think
Fields and
Rodgers
Russ
is
have better
Rodgers is super medium and
offense
over
than
the
Russ?
hill and doesn't practice enough. I think DK. I mean, DK wasn't even the number one on his team anymore, and now he's got to be the number one on a different team with a lesser QB at this stage in his career. And then
So you think Rodgers
I
is a
legit
step
can't
down
even. Who's the
from
running
Russ?
back for the Steelers right now?
Probably a rookie.
Yeah, can't even.
Caleb Johnson, they just drafted out of Iowa, and then they also got Jalen Warren.
Yeah, it's got to be Cordell Patterson with that, right? Just kidding. They picked up Kenneth Gainwell, I think, this offseason, but yeah, they don't have a running back.
I just don't think it's not. Not only do they have
So they have a
a
lesser fantasy value
old
than
Aaron
Rodgers.
Rodgers problem, but I think they have an Arthur Smith problem. I to this day don't understand how the Steelers saw what Arthur Smith did to the Falcons and thought he's going to be our new OC. And who'd they move on from that also sucked? Golly, they moved on from somebody like before Arthur Smith that everybody couldn't stand because he was just a terrible play caller. I think Pittsburgh's problems are deep seated. Now that I'm talking about it, I probably should have picked them over Seattle.
I
But
was going to pick them just
they're in
because
my same.
because I knew it'd trigger Mitch and like might create a conversation, but I just saw the Saints. I was like, man, I just got to pick the Saints.
Yeah, I could have
Yeah.
joked about how this was just another 10 out of 10 rage bait to trash
It's
Rodgers,
not
but
rage bait though. I don't want any of these guys on my team.
I'm
I don't
agreeing.
think
My
Alex, I
question,
don't think the surprise aspect of the Raiders is that far off though. You got Gene T, you got Bowers, Jacoby Myers. I
That's what
don't
I'm saying.
necessarily think I want Geno Smith, but there's going to be some fantasy relevance on
in
that team.
in PPR, I think Jacoby Myers is a totally fine starter. Brock Bowers is good in any kind of league. I think Genty is going to have value, and then Geno Smith. I mean, if both Jacoby Myers and uh, Brock Bowers are fantasy relevant, then by default, Geno Smith has to be, right? So I think there's value there. I couldn't say it as a Raider fan because again I got to hedge my bets. But yeah,
Yeah. I mean, it was like last year, I'm sure there was teams. Was there teams last year that had like nobody drafted? Like I think what the Cleveland Browns, you drafted Jerome Ford late and Amari Cooper late.
Njoku, you would have
Um,
drafted Njoku.
I know there was some teams where like even their wide receiver one weren't getting drafted. Oh, the Carolina Panthers, like
Panthers,
they had
maybe.
no wide receivers drafted. I think the fact that we're talking about two Raiders in potentially the first two rounds in Ginty and Bowers is a pretty fascinating prospect as a team that is projected to win 4, 5 games maybe. Um, so yeah, it's pretty interesting. Uh, do you have other teams, Mitch, that you were
yeah,
wondering where they were closer to?
yeah, definitely. So you guys think the Steelers is worse off with from going from Fields and Russ to Rodgers? Well, then what's the difference in the Giants going from Daniel Jones and Tommy DeVito to Russ? Does that make
I
you
think
want
they
more of
just
the
have.
pie or less of the pie?
I think the Giants have more talent and a better coaching system from an offensive standpoint than the Steelers do. The
So,
Steelers weren't good last year, and I think Aaron Rodgers is potentially a lateral move, if not worse move. I do think the Giants are in a better like Daniel Jones had an historically bad season. I don't necessarily want a lot of them, but Tyrone Tracy was startable, and give me as much Malik Neighbor share as you feel like giving me.
yeah, that's tough. I feel like I'm gonna have a pie to the face bet about neighbors this year. I
Yeah,
feel like coming on. I mean, just like what Dabble's on his way out the door. It's not even close. Like it's guaranteed he's got 3 or 4. He'll play till November, like end of October. He's gone. There's going to be no offensive system in place. Russell Wilson is your QB. Like I don't think we're like you guys are hating on Rodgers and deservingly so. His play has been bad since the Achilles tear. He had back-to-back MVPs and then he got hurt and he has not been this like sure. But like, have you seen Russell Wilson games in the last 3, 4, 5 years? He literally got sent out of Denver because he's so bad. Denver was like, "We're going to pay you like exorbitant amount of money to go play on a different team." That's how bad Russ was. And then he goes and plays on that other team and loses. He's not loses, but is competing with Justin Fields, who isn't considered to be all that, whatever. I mean, don't get me wrong, I like Justin Fields. And then all of a sudden now he's in New York, and we're just assuming that he's going to be able to even throw the ball 45 times a game accurately. Like, I know Tommy DeVito's not a great quarterback, but at least he's young and can go out there and throw the ball 45 times and have tunnel vision the neighbors. Russell Wilson's going to go out there and, oh, I'm going to manage the game. He's going to try and get wins with the Giants. Russell Wilson probably thinks they're going to be competitive.
so is
Like,
this
he's
the
going to go.
neighbors versus DK bet? Is that what the pie bet
I,
is?
I'm wondering what it's going to eventually manifest into, but it's just like my neighbors did so well last year. There has to be a means to the regression. And then you're telling me Russ is the QB. Oh, hold on 1 second. Do you want to say hi to everyone?
Hi, everyone.
What offense would you like to have the
Hello.
most this year?
Hello, Sam.
Wait. What offense would you like to have the most this year?
Commanders.
Oh, that's a good answer. What offense would
This
you
is a good
least
answer.
like? What offense would you least like to have in fantasy? Like on that team, you'd want none of their players. It's not a wrong answer.
Saints.
Good one. That's a good one.
Wow, that's a good one.
There
So
you
Mitch,
go. So
you heard that now. You better not draft any Saints on her fantasy team
I'm
next
not
year.
allowed to draft any
Or
Cowboys players in this household, and that's going to be a problem. Or Eagles, and she's mad that I
or
had Barkley.
Eagles.
Yeah, she's met the whole year when I'm rooting for Barkley. She's like, oh, and she gives me the attitude and says it's like, oh, he got lucky. So I'm already in the doghouse for winning a championship with an Eagle player, and you already know how I feel about some of these Cowboy fantasy players. That's actually another good answer that we didn't say. Like Ravens and the Cowboys are also two pies that are appetizing or look good.
Yeah, the Cowboys have to figure something out in their backfield though. Like it was really bad last year with Dowdle, and who'd they replace him with? Javonte Williams.
Yeah, Williams.
Um,
I agree, but I think Dak's going to throw the ball 40 times a game, so I don't think it really necessarily is that big of a deal. Because yeah, but anyways, back to my original point is like, don't get me wrong, this isn't a hate on neighbors thing, as opposed to when I did the pie bet with McLaurin and Evans. I didn't hate Evans, I just thought McLaurin was in a better situation. Or with the Cousins stuff, I actually did kind of dislike Cousins, but I do like Cousins from the quarterback movies, so that makes me sad that's like he's so likable. He's so cheesy likable. And it's just like I don't really want to hate Cousins anymore. I think I've said that to Alex already, and we've gotten over it. And like even halfway through the year last year, I was like, kind of like him. It's hard not to like Cousins. So I don't want this to be about anything negative about neighbors because then I'm going to lose the argument. That's not what this is about. Like they're going to have a new play caller by week 4 or 5 because Dable Dabble or whatever his name is, because joking around from the other podcast where I missaid his name.
Yep.
He's going to be gone. So it's guaranteed new play caller. Russell Wilson is not very good with new offensive coordinators. It usually takes him a while to settle in. And we're just assuming neighbors is going to have, so like, yeah, maybe you feel like this is a pie bet. And then the, uh, sorry, go on. That I forgot my last point. It'll come to me in a second.
my favorite part though is now Neighbors is going to be sitting there like in the third round for Mitch, and he's going to have this war within his head. And then if he drafts him and he sucks, he's going to be like, I knew he sucked. And if he drafts him and he's really good, he has no ammo because we're going to be like, yeah, we told you that he. It's a
That's
lose lose
fair.
now. It's a lose
If
lose.
I draft him and he does really well, I'll give you guys credit and I'll be happy because my fantasy team's winning. But and again, it's not that neighbors will suck. It's just the manifestation of the situation. That's all. And I don't think Daniel Jones is as bad as we make him to be because, of course, he's terrible. He's not worth the contract that. No, but like if he was paid 18 million, Alex, that's what I'm trying to say. If he was paid 17 million, we'd be like, that's a pretty good quarterback for 17 million. The problem was he was getting 50 million. That's where I think the Daniel Jones hate came in. He got that huge contract for winning one playoff game. Oh, I remember what I was gonna say now. Forgive me. Okay, back to Vinny's pick and why I joked about it with the Jaguars before this whole thing even started. My question is, you guys, at what point, how many offensive coordinators? This will be his fifth in 4 years, so fifth in 5 years. It doesn't technically hasn't happened yet. So one each year. He's had three different head coaches and 5 different coordinators in the last 5 years of his career. At what point is Trevor Lawrence basically Caleb Williams in 3 or 4 years? Eventually we're just gonna be like, this guy's bad. Like, at what point is Trevor Lawrence not getting an excuse? At what
I
point is
think
this
that
Trevor Lawrence's fault?
I think they've already given him too long of a leash.
Yeah, for sure.
If he does poorly this year, um, I still can't believe they gave him that huge contract, 2 or 3 years ago when he helped the Jaguars go to the playoffs. But he's
So
been
and
abysmal. He's abysmal.
Speaking of abysmal, though, so I just wanted to bring up Danny Dimes' stats real fast. So, outside of his rookie year, which is his best year ever, he never broke 20 TDs and only broke 3,000 yards once. He also only completed one season his entire career. So, in the 6 years he's been in the league, he's only broken 3,000 yards twice. Once was his rookie year. He's only broken 20 TDs once his rookie year. And he's only finished one complete season. Like, I don't see how you can be like, oh yeah, that's a QB that I want on my team as my starter.
also, correct me, like who's the head coach of the Jaguars right now?
The offensive coordinator for the Bucks, Liam Cohn.
Okay, so the question becomes this was a thing. Sorry, Alex, we'll touch on it. I just want to make this point before I
No,
forget
you
it.
did.
Uh, um, the question becomes is who made those original Eagles teams better? Was it Wentz? I mean, not Wentz. Made Wentz better. Was it Steichen or was it the other guy? Oh my gosh, it's escaping my head. The issue becomes who made Baker good again. Was it truly Liam Cohen or was it Dave Canales? Because they kind of just continued that it's like the Lions are going to do. Whoever becomes the Lions OC, he's probably going to run a lot of the same offense that the Lions already have
Ben Johnson
instituted.
did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the point is I don't know 100% in my own mind if Liam Cohen was the person that fixed Baker. So like, don't get me wrong, I am a big Baker fan now. I think he's really good. The year he had last year, I've changed my opinion. You guys all know that. But how it got to that point, I'm not exactly sure because there wasn't a coordinator in Carolina that helped him. It wasn't until he got to the Bucks. So was it Cohen or Dave Canales? If you know for a fact it's Cohen, then there's going to be a lot of fantasy gold on the Jaguars this year. But if it was a majority portion Dave Canales, I don't know how much the Jaguars are bait this year. And don't get me wrong, I'll be happy with it. You guys could overdraft a lot of Jaguars players, and then halfway through the season, you're like, I can't believe I thought a Jaguars player was going to be good when the last 4 or 5 years, Trevor, like even Brian Thomas's better games, Trevor Lawrence didn't play.
Well, yeah. So again, I mean,
Yeah.
here's Trevor's stats. We're going to compare him to Danny Dimes. So
Yeah.
Trevor broke 3,000 yards 3 times. He broke 4,000 yards twice, which is the new barrier for entry. So the fact that we're already
Right.
talking about him not being good enough when he's broken 4K and Danny Dimes hasn't, I mean, tells you how bad Danny Dimes is. He's only broken
True.
the 20 TD mark twice in his 4 seasons. Like that's not good. It's just not good. Like you need to be chucking TDs, and he's also had double digit picks in 2 of those 4 seasons. So I don't know. He's just not it.
Like if Trevor
What's
Lawrence
interesting is
wasn't-
actually I just went and looked at like coaching history. So Dave Canales came to the Bucks from Seattle. So Seattle, he was there as the wide receivers coach from 2010 to 2017, passing game from 18 to 22, and then is credited for like Geno Smith, then went over to be the offensive coordinator of the Bucks. Meanwhile, Liam Cohen was the Rams offensive coordinator,
Right, there
Rams
we go.
QB coach under Kevin McConnell, then went to Kentucky, then went back to the Rams and was under McVay as their offensive coordinator, then went back to Kentucky, then went to the Bucks and did what he did. I feel like I mean, nothing against Canales and what he did for Baker 2 years ago, but Baker was a top 3 fantasy player last year under Cohen, like
But
where
did
he
they
was
run a lot of the same
startable.
offense?
They probably did. They probably
Yeah.
did.
Yeah.
But he also managed injuries to Godwin, injuries to Evans, and was still putting up good numbers with Baker. And I trust the McVay coaching tree much more than I trust the
Oh, that's a great point.
Carroll coaching tree. So, I mean, yeah, it might have been a stay over, but man, when you coached under Kevin McConnell and Sean McVay, and now you get to go and you did your own thing, and it was really good. I'm like, I don't know. Are you going to do your own thing and be really good? It might flop. Maybe the Jaguars suck. Maybe they are a really bad team. But do you really want to be the guy that drafts last year's Bucks players too late? Bucky Irving, Baker Mayfield, Mike Evans, Godwin. Like, I don't think so. You know?
And then are we even going to know the answer if it was Liam or Dave because Trevor's just not good? So like that's the other confusing part too is like if Trevor Lawrence wasn't the number 1 overall pick, he would already be benched and made probably on a different team.
Yeah.
So
No, I agree with that.
So I'm just saying is like it could be Liam Cohen, you could be 100% right, but then Trevor Lawrence might just be bad. So there's two what ifs for me, and that's why there's less of a what if for me on the Bears offense than there is the Jags, and that's saying a lot coming from me. And I'll end it on that.
Interesting.
Well, just going back to it, I guess I'm not ending on it. Like if you go back to 2022, Ben Johnson takes over for the Lions. The first thing he does, or 2021, I apologize, that season or that off season, they go and trade for Goff and they draft Amon St. Brown. So like he takes over, and yes, they just got Goff and St. Brown, but like when he first took over for the Lions weren't what they were last year. It took a year or two. But let's say the Bears offense is more talented than what he took over originally for the Lions. What could he do for the Bears that he couldn't do for the Lions? Like, I'm not saying maybe this upcoming year, like they'll take a big step forward, but then why not in 2 years? Are the Bears not just destroying teams 56-0 like the Lions were? If the Bears have a more talent around them than what Ben Johnson started with in Detroit. People forget how bad those Detroit teams were before Mr. Grit came along. And Hard Knocks, those teams were terrible talent. Ben Johnson comes in immediately. It's like boom, 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 boom. So if that's true and the Bears have more talent than what Ben Johnson walked into originally, then consider this Bears team equivalent to that 2021 Lions team. It might be better. So I don't
Yeah, I'm
know. It's
actually
just
looking at Ben Johnson. So they were 0-8 to start, but he was the passing game coordinator. He was then promoted to offensive coordinator in 2022,
I will
and when he
be right
became
back.
offensive coordinator, they were a top five offense, and then never looked back.
Hello?
so with
Um,
basically a lot of the same team minus, yeah. So yeah, it's interesting. I don't know. Again, I'm being honest with you, Vinny. Unless something and Alex, unless something changes in the next month, I am not draft. If you're drafting next, when we've decided our draft order, whatever that is, and you figure out I'm drafting next to you, I don't think you're gonna have to worry about AJ Brown or any Bears players.
AJ Brown. Yeah, AJ Brown, Bears play. Yeah, I guess DJ Moore falls into that category, right? And
Yeah,
no Mark Andrews for you too, right? Isn't he? Didn't he also do you dirty a couple times?
he does, but Mark Andrews has saved me a couple. Mark Andrews might have a little. We don't have to get into credit leeway with Mark
Yeah,
Andrews there,
yeah.
but
No,
no, he's definitely Bears. Yeah,
yeah. I know.
watch the Bears
I
be
think
so bad
it's an
next year.
interest. It's just really tough, right? Because like you, I think part of me, and the reason I even said the Jaguars is I go back to the same thing. Like, dude, I don't. I'm trying more and more to be like Matt Black in fantasy, and what I mean by that is I would rather in our league be, you know, 11-5 going or 11-3 going into the playoffs, and also have a 3-11 season. And sometimes like you got to take that risk, and I think sometimes you have to hit those players and those teams when you draft to be solid in our league, you're gonna make the playoffs, but you're gonna lose to the teams that ended up with Saquon Barkley. You know what I mean? Like you're gonna lose the
So
teams
you're
that
saying the
took that.
opposite of what I'm saying, basically, like go with the Jags and the Bears type because they have the most upside or whatever.
I think it's the same reason that I find it impossible to avoid the Miami Dolphins this year. Like you
Too
can't
much upside.
avoid Tyreek Hill, Devin Achane, even
Yeah.
possibly
A
Jalen
Johnny
Waddle.
Smith, yeah, or whoever
You
Johnny
know,
Smith gets replaced by, yeah.
right. So it's one of those things where it's like, you know, I mean, and look, your team was great. You hit on Josh Allen on a year where, yeah, he was still one or two, but if he fell to the fourth or fifth drafted quarterback, I wouldn't have argued that because they didn't have anybody. They're all, like, listen, I am surprised that the Bills even have draftable players. Like, you're not going to draft Shakir, you're not going to draft Kincaid, you're not going to draft James Cook in the top 10 of their position, you know? Maybe Kincaid, but like they're all ranked low, and then yet Josh Allen's QB1, like that's just wild. It's crazy. Like you don't see that fantasy. Um, at least like same thing with Lamar Jackson. Like Lamar Jackson put up quarterback two or three numbers with Derrick Henry running for 2,000 yards. Like that's or almost 2,000. Like that's also crazy. So uh, I don't know. It's look at the Cowboys 2 years ago when CD Lamb finally broke out and Dak had a great year. Like that took you to a championship. Like CD, I think, was finished with like 30% fantasy league championships. Um, it's
Or
crazy
last
stats.
year
Like
when he
that's the
doesn't get
that's
to
the
the
kind of
playoffs.
guys. Yeah, but those are the kind of guys you need to win. Like you need to hit. Like if you had Jaden Daniels, if you took that risk in that offense. So I don't know. I don't think playing the rankings game is going to help anybody in fantasy, and unless you just want to be mid.
Yeah, you've got
Yeah,
to you got
yeah.
to take some shots and you got to hit on some shots in order to win.
Okay, well, it's your turn. Like, okay, this is
Well, full
very hard.
disclosure, I had to leave the room to take a phone call. Breaking news on the podcast: a member of the fantasy football league was just in a car accident, but they are okay.
Oh, dang.
Oh,
Yeah.
who was in? I would imagine someone calling you is either
Your father?
Sylvie Nolan or Drake would not call you. So Sylvie or Nolan, we've eliminated it down to two.
That
I'm gonna go with Nolan. I'm gonna go with Nolan was just in a car accident.
is incorrect, but your
Oh,
logic was spot
Sylvie.
on. Yeah, it wasn't her fault
Sylvie was
though.
in a car.
Somebody hit her, but thankfully she's okay. So
All right.
Ask, does she have any
Yeah.
premonitions on who to draft?
I did not ask that. I was going to ask her if she wanted to be on the pod, but then when she led with the car thing, I was like, I'll save that for next time.
Super deck. Uh, yeah. So basically, then okay, then I guess I'd have to look at the. I'll do that. I'll look at it for next time. Some of these what if high reward, high risk offenses. I'll see. Like, so let's see here. Just bear with me for a second. Wide receiver. where is like, okay, let me see. Wow, DJ Moore is really far down there. Okay, so he's being drafted around like Devontae Smith, Zay Flowers, and Garrett Williams in the 12, 24, 36, fourth to fifth round. Like, so like you're in the fourth round right now, and you see JSN, Jackson Smith and Jigba, Zay Flowers, DJ Moore, Devontae Smith, Garrett Wilson, George Pickens, and Calvin Ridley all sitting there in the fourth, fifth round. That's going to be a reality for a lot of people in the middle of those rounds. Who, like, are you taking a DJ Moore over any of those wide receivers?
Yeah, I mean, it's DJ Moore versus JSN at that point for me.
I'm
Um,
windmill
J-
slamming JSN in that scenario.
yeah, and it'd be close. It'd be close for me. I would probably have to just suck it up and go with DJ Moore. Here's the problem though, Mitch, is like this is it. I almost would rather screw it, I'll say it. I would probably rather have Rome Odunze later than DJ Moore earlier. I think Rome is going to be the guy that benefits the most from Ben Johnson. But is that a risk I want to take? I don't know. That's why it's like, dude, you've got to hit this offense. You just got to hit the right guy, right?
Okay,
So that's why I'm like, I would rather hit Rome Odunze later. But then again, saying I can get
but we
DJ Moore
don't
in the
know it's
fifth
wrong. Yeah,
round is
it could be
also
DJ
crazy.
Moore, but like, let's say you're in the fourth or fifth round,
Wait,
and
screw it. You know what? I'm gonna go
DJ
Rome
Moore.
Odunze, DJ Moore back to back rounds. I'm gonna double
That's
up
that's,
on the
that's what
You're
Bears
I'm
just
wide
saying. That's not
receiver.
a
you're going full Bears, full
That's
Bears
not even
offense.
that bad of a decision, Vinny, because I'm telling you,
It's
right,
not.
in the fourth or fifth round, if DJ Moore finishes top six, you're gonna be like, who cares what round it is?
If
Yeah.
DJ Moore finishes top six, you both can pie me in the face.
But I mean, St.
I'll pie
Brown's
myself
finished.
in the face.
The DJ Moore was St. Brown before St. Brown was St. Brown. But anyways, all right. Brian Thomas right now is being drafted, average draft position 24. So that's the end of the second round. That's going to be. I'm not even going to name the running backs, but that's next to Nico Collins, AJ Brown, Puka Nakua, Drake London, T. Higgins are all being driven by, and then Devontae Adams is a little bit of a jump for the
Sorry, guys,
end
I
of the
sneezed.
third there. Are you really taking Brian Thomas over? Oh, and two picks ahead of him in ADP. Let's just put it all together. Amon St. Brown, Puka Nakua, Nico Collins, AJ Brown, Drake London. Are you drafting Brian Thomas ahead of any of those guys?
See, I don't love him that high because I do think he carries risk, but I think the guy that takes the risk might end up with the reward. Like that's what I'm saying is like I'm trying to be Matt, and I in my soul I can't do it. Like I can't be the guy that takes Anthony Richardson in the third round. You know what I mean? Like
Sure,
ahead of did he take Anthony Richardson ahead of Joe Burrow? I think he did.
for
I honestly
sure.
think he did. I don't have that, but those are the type of moves, and this isn't like a hype up Matt Black because like he has bad years. I get it, but those are the type of moves in our type of league and in redraft leagues that win you championships. Like that's why I thought that Chris drafting Achan at the end of the second, like I didn't love the guy, but did he have top five running back upside? Heck yeah, he did. And if you can get that in the second round, smash it. You know what I mean?
But
So
it's just so interesting because, like, also at the same time, like, the Eagles and the Bengals were two teams that we said we wanted a piece of, right? And or a couple of us said so. Like, that's got Higgins and AJ Brown on it, and Brian Thomas is going ahead of AJ Brown and Higgins. And I know you said like, oh, as a sleeper team, you kind of want a piece of the Jaguars, but it's like we know for a fact you and I both want part of any Bengals players. I mean, that's just right. So we're
right.
taking Brian Thomas ahead of T Higgins.
Oh man, I'm taking Brian Thomas ahead of T. Higgins. I
Oh
am.
man, I'm just not okay. Maybe I'm just farther behind on the
I might
Jags than
even
you
take
guys.
I might even take Brian Thomas ahead of AJ Brown. But am
Oh
I
wow.
taking him at his draft capital of like wide receiver eight? No, I don't want to fall into the same trap, you know? Um,
Well, it's gonna be though.
I don't even know if I'm taking Thomas over McConkey,
The
to be
lad.
honest. Laddie daddy, baby.
So then, how much do we really like the Jags offense? Because if you're telling me right here that the Jags are going to have a great offense, a breakout, like you would want him over Nico Collins, you'd want him over Drake London, you'd want him over Devontae
Uh,
Adams.
I do want him over Adams. London questionable. Um, I think the offense as a whole is going to be. I'm not sleeping on Thomas. I'm not going to sit here and say. I just think his ADP is so high right now. I don't necessarily know if I love the value.
Yeah.
But I mean, the guy was wide receiver 4 with freaking Mac Jones for like 6 games. So I don't know. Is that dumb of us to say we're not taking Brian Thomas in the middle of the second round?
The last one I'll propose for both of you is Travis Hunter. He's being taken ADP 100. So
I mean,
that's,
I will say, Vinny, Brian Thomas is a guy who finished as wide receiver 4 last year, and you think you want a part of the Jags offense because you're afraid to miss out. So it's kind of strange to me that a guy who was wide receiver 4 last year, you want a piece of their offense, but you're hesitant to draft him.
Yeah, well, I also drafted him in like the 13th round last year.
I understand. I understand that you got mad value out of it, right? Like, sure, and that's what we're just talking about, right? Like, you got mad value out of that. It's one of the reasons you were in the fantasy Super Bowl, right? But had you taken him in the first or second round, you still would have been happy with the pick because he was wide receiver 4. So my question is, you're kind of contradicting yourself. You're saying, I want a piece of the Jaguars' offense because I don't want to miss out on that. I think they'll be good. While at the same time saying their wide receiver, who was wide receiver 4 last year, I want no part of. So I guess my question becomes...
Well, I didn't say no part of. I just...
Well, not no part of it.
It's really hard...
We're talking about a 6th round wide receiver. We were just talking about in the 6th round. So you're not interested in taking this guy in the 6th round who has first or second round value based on last year. So I guess my question is, which pieces of that Jaguars offense do you want then?
No, not 6th round. Not 6th round. He's being drafted as like the 6th wide receiver off the board. I'll take him in the 6th round. He was just saying like his right now his ADP is like 24, and I'm looking at Fantasy Pros for PPR scoring. His ADP is 15, wide receiver 8.
So that's what I'm saying. To get a part of this offense that you think is going to break out is like you're either going to have to take Travis Hunter at the ADP of 100, or you're just going to have to or you're just basically saying to us without meaning to say that you want Trevor Lawrence this year.
Or I can get what is Travis Etienne's being drafted as RB34.
True.
Tank Bigsby is being drafted as RB48.
True.
By the way, I did fact check. Anthony Richardson was taken before Dak Prescott and Joe Burrow last year, which is just such a ballsy move. It obviously did not work out, but I mean that is a shot. That's a shot for the stars right there, and I respect that move. So you guys are like maybe talking me into Brian Thomas, like, oh, I got to put my money where my mouth is. But I also think like Etienne, Bigsby, and Hunter are ranked way too low, and maybe I think Brian Thomas is ranked 5 positions higher than I feel comfortable drafting him at, but I don't think that's an unfair hypocrisy to have. But yeah, I don't know, dude. Here's the thing. I think Brian Thomas has like top 5 upside, but like if you take a guy that early, like look what happened to Austin's team with Garrett Wilson. Like if you miss on that pick, you're also like doing yourself some damage. So maybe I'm just I'm not ready to be Matt Black, and I just think I know. I think is what I'm realizing.
I'm telling you right now, I don't think I could take Brian Thomas ahead of some of these wide receivers that are listed, let alone because I'm just like, I don't want to tie my 2nd round pick to Trevor Lawrence. It's tough.
But okay, here's this, Mitch. Oh, dude, yeah. This list gets kind of brutal though. So behind Brian Thomas, you have Drake London, AJ Brown, Ladd McConkey, Tyreek Hill, T. Higgins.
Yeah.
Like,
what list are you working off of right now, then?
This is Fantasy Pros 7
like
ADP
draft rankings?
PPR scoring.
Okay.
Just their ADP for PPR scoring. So I know it's not standard scoring, but the standard scoring only had 1 ADP. So I was just trying to see like where he's going, but we can look at
standard scoring has multiple ADPs.
Oh, it didn't when I had it.
It
literally had
some of us aren't rookies.
Mine said one source when I put it in. Oh, now it does say 3 sources. So where is he going here? Even higher? No, yeah, even higher. Wide receiver 7. He's ahead of Nico Collins. That to me is just wild. That's just wild talk.
That also shows me that people are probably in the same boat as you, that they are wanting to buy a piece of this Jaguars offense with him. So you could be right, though.
Also, people are injury averse with higher draft picks, right? Like, it's one thing if you're rolling a dice on a guy that you can get in the later rounds, but like if I'm having to take Nico Collins, I'm having to take him in the first or second round, right? Overall 15 ADP. So if I'm having to take a guy in the first or second round, I'm worried about a guy who may not play. Like last year, he missed 5 games in the middle of your season, right? Like that's a concern. And when he came back, he wasn't the same player after the bye. Look at the last 4 weeks of the season, right? Which is fantasy playoffs when it matters. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I'm actually looking at ADPs right now, and if the Wheel of Destiny wants to give me the 11th or 12th pick, please, I would be the happiest man alive.
If he wants to give me the number 1 pick, that'd be great.
I'm just looking here now, like the top 7 running backs are Saquon, Bijan, Gibbs, Henry, G.T., Achane, McCaffrey, Jacobs, top 8. Top 8 wide receivers are Jamar, Justin Jefferson, CD, Neighbors, Amon-Ra, Puka, Brian Thomas, Nico Collins. It means you can like stack any of those 2 players basically.
So you don't want to be Matt, you want to be Nolan. I'm just kidding.
Well, I mean, you got to take the risk. I would say taking. I don't know. It's weird. I'm surprised that Brian Thomas is ranked this high. I kind of thought he'd be closer to like ranked 11 or 12, but I'm stoked for this.
Just to show you how that can work out.
I'm also super stoked that I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of the top 7 ranked wide receivers I have on my dynasty team. So that's fun.
I mean, not for me, who's also in the league.
So
Jamar Chase, CeeDee Lamb, Amon-Ra, Puka, Brian Thomas.
So
and I traded Nico Collins for Deontay Johnson like 3 years ago. So
I also
you're basically
traded.
trying to say stack up. Sorry, Alex.
No, go ahead.
I'm just saying you're basically trying to say you would rather stack 1 running back, wide receiver with your first 2. That's what you're basically trying to say, right, Vinny?
I mean, I thought I wanted to go running back, but now that I see like who they have projected as like the top 8 wide receivers, I'm like, it's pretty stout. It's pretty stout.
So let's just look at last year how that worked out for some people. Derrick Henry and Justin Jefferson worked out pretty well. Matt Black went Amon St. Brown and Isaiah Pacheco. Did not work out as well. And Amon St. Brown had a slow start, but it's not terrible. Miles Black went 2 running backs, so it's not really comparable there. He went Kyron and Jahmyr Gibbs. That kind of worked out for him. And then who else who went running back, wide receiver? It was one more.
Jamar Chase and Travis Etienne.
There we go. Jamar Chase and Travis Etienne. That did not really. Jamar Chase great. Etienne did not work out so well. So it's very risky to do that strategy. Whereas if you go lower and look at the guy going QB in round 2, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. But no, I was 100% going to do that as well. I did not expect Josh Allen to fall, so I can't be hypocritical because I was going to do the same thing, top wide receiver, top running back, or whatever. But it's risky. It's really risky. You have to. You say, oh, I like these options here. Yeah, there's great options there, but not all of them work. Every year, it's like, oh, great options on the turn.
Yeah, but let's look at that. Who's the risky one? Amon-Ra? No. Chase? No. Jefferson? No. Who are the ones that busted? Etienne, Pacheco. You know, it's the risk is never the wide receiver at that high of a level. Like even AJ Brown was good. Garrett Wilson, we all agreed was taken too high. Deebo Samuel, we all agreed were taken too high. But then you had Puka Nacua at the end of the second. Nico Collins at the beginning of the third, Mike Evans at the beginning of the third, me and you dicking around with DK Metcalf and Marvin Harrison. So while everybody else is raking it, you and I, dude, took you 3 minutes to draft DK because you wanted Olave, who also was trash. So
no, I wanted sorry. That pick was supposed to be Kelsey, and the next pick was supposed to be Montgomery, and both of them went 1 pick before me. I'm not even joking. Like I had Kelsey queued up. It wasn't supposed to be Metcalf, and the next one was you took Montgomery 1 pick before DJ Moore. 100%. That's it. What happened?
How about this?
How about this Sam Laporta pick? Can you just spin that one?
Sam Laporta in the 5th round is still, in my opinion, not a bad pick.
What about the Gus Edwards pick?
That one was not so good.
How about if we go back to the Sam Laporta pick? It took me 90 seconds to decide between Kittle and Kincaid. That is the only reason my team was good last year, like because of that decision. But no,
Yeah.
look, go scroll up, Alex. Let's go to the middle of the third to the end of the
So you-
fourth, and let's just look at. You can win and lose fantasy championships right here, and just look at this trash: DK Metcalf, Marvin Harrison, Kenneth Walker, Kamara, Chris Olave, Rashad White, Cooper Kupp, Kyler, Devontae Adams, Anthony Richardson, Dave Montgomery, DJ
Imagine
Moore,
taking
CJ
3.5
Stroud,
minutes
Dak,
to draft Chris Olave.
Ayuk, Pickens, Andrews, London. The best pick from picks, what is this? 30 to 48 is Drake London at 48.
I mean, David Montgomery is a pretty solid pick.
Yeah, no, I mean, I wasn't gonna hype. I wasn't gonna pull a Mitch and hype my own draft pick, but literally everybody else is trash. There's not a single good pick in there.
From where? From starting at Kelsey, you mean?
Yeah, like starting at Kelsey. Like, yeah, Walker had some games, Kamara had some games, but like the rest of them are like benchable players.
Yeah. Out
Which
most
is
of the
pretty
season, lost
fascinating.
his starting job. Out most of the season, super medium. Wasn't even wide receiver one in his team. Lost his starting job.
Benched,
He was good.
good,
Plays for the Bears. He had a massive step back. Out for most of the season.
injured,
Still injured.
out for most of this, terrible.
He was okay. He
Bum,
he came
bum.
alive at the
Mark
end
Andrews
of
is
the
a
season, but
bum.
the first half of the season he was terrible. Drake was solid.
He's still a bum for dropping that pass. He's a bum.
All right, boys. Any final thoughts before we wrap up the episode?
No?
No, that felt like a fast 2 hours actually, which is crazy.
Yeah, we've had a couple of.
I've always
back-to-back
wondered how
holidays.
like Joe Rogan can have like a 3 hour podcast, and I'm like, oh, that stuff just goes fast when
'Cause
you're in it.
Well, you know, when you hang with the boys, and also when you spend the first hour of the pod talking about women's sports, it leaves a lot to talk about. You know, it's good discourse.
We're just
So,
hiding our fantasy analysis by making our listeners listen. They have to go through the first hour to get to the fantasy advice.
It's like a paywall.
Yeah, it's exactly.
All right,
It's a
boys.
paywall.
Any final thoughts?
No closing thoughts.
All right. See you, everybody. Say goodbye.
All right, see y'all.
Bye bye.